بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا ومولانا محمد الصادق الوعد الأمين وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين وصحابة الأكرمين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا متقبلا يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت يا حي يا قيوم تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا سهلا. لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك اللهم ونتوب إليك وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وبعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to our latest class on the fiqh of salah, the fiqh of prayer, according to the Hanafi madhab, from the book al-Idaah wa Najat al-Arwah of Imam Abu al-Ikhlas Hassan ibn Ammar al-Shrumbulali rahimahullah ta'ala wa radiya anhu wa nafa'na bihi wa bi'ulumihi ameen. And we were on the section on the things that break the prayer. Babu ma yufsidu as-salah, what breaks or ruins the prayer and requires us to start again, in other words. And we have with us Hassan. Assalamu alaikum, Hassan. How are you?
Salam, Shaykh. Alhamdulillah. How's things? You okay?
Yeah, alhamdulillah, all well, all good, alhamdulillah. So are we ready to commence?
Bismillah ji.
So over to you, bismillah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Okay, page 191. We're starting off at the top.
Oh yeah, so we were on the section on that which breaks the prayer. Top of page 191 on the 191 on this hard copy. I think it's a few pages back on the PDF. Inshallah. Bismillah.
Okay, so it starts with fainting or a fit of insanity renders the prayer void.
Yeah, Bismillah. So if a person faints in the prayer, or junoon occurs, which is insanity, like a fit of, just has lost his or her mind and doesn't know what's going on, that will break the wudu and break the prayer as well. So can't carry on praying in that state of mind. Straightforward. Bismillah.
Discharging sperm due to staring at a sexual object or because of a sexual dream while asleep.
Yeah, so if somebody's in prayer, it's a weird one, right? But if somebody's in prayer and that occurs in the prayer, it will nullify the prayer. I think that's not likely to happen, but it's a ruling at the end of the day. Bismillah.
If a man stands alongside a woman who arouses sexual desire in a complete prayer that both are participating in the same place with no screen between them, and the Imam had intended to lead her prayer.
Yeah, so this was the masala we had at the beginning of last week, where we said that, or we talked about, the Imam has to intend the women behind him for them to be part of the Jamaat, right? And men can join another man in prayer without the Imam's intention. Because of this masala, really, that if a man and woman are in the same prayer together, and I know we'll be praying at home together with our spouses or family members, etc. In this case, it's any lady, so it could be me, the wife, actually. It could be any lady who, it says there, arouses that desire, right, is of that category, basically. So this means really old ladies or girls, little young babies, or they're not coming to it. But normal everyday kind of situation, it would mean that a lady praying the same prayer with the same tahrima, same intention behind the same imam. If the person has intended for that person to follow, if the imam has intended for that lady to follow him, which you will have, you're praying together by default, you will have, because you're praying together, then you've got to make sure you're not standing next to each other. This is important because some people might be praying at home standing next to each other, husband and wife. The lady stands behind the husband, right? So if there's children, male children will stand with if it's one of them, they'll stand with the father. If there's two of them, they'll stand behind. And the ladies, girls and women, they'll stand in the row behind that, or behind the first two people, right? There's been diagrams and things sent out like this, right? But just make sure that there is a distance between the males and the females, and they're not standing next to each other. Otherwise, that will nullify everyone's prayer, more or less, right? So an important one to be aware of, right? Okay, next one, Hassan.
Uncovering the private area after unintentionally breaking wudu in prayer, even if it was necessary to expose the private part in order to purify oneself. An example includes a female who exposed her arms to perform wudu.
Okay, so now this moves into the mas'ala really of sabq al-hadath. You read it there as the one who, let's have a look, unintentionally breaking wudu in prayer. So we talked about this very briefly last time. You can continue your prayer if you unintentionally break your wudu, like you don't do it yourself, it happens, like something happens to you basically, and you've lost your wudu. You can go make wudu and come back. So that's the situation now. It's not going to happen. So these next several things won't really happen. But if they did, this is the ruling, right? In most of these situations, in all of them really, you'll basically break your prayer and start again. But we learn what these masail are. So first of all, you've broken your wudu inadvertently. You don't know what happened. It's gone. You realize it's gone. You didn't do it. You go now and make wudu and come back and carry on with your prayer. You can do that. But there's rules for that. If you go and come back, but you uncover your aura, your reserved area to perform wudu, which for a man isn't difficult, or man won't be exposing his private area. But for a lady, the arm is aura. Yep. The neck is aura, so she can't loosen her clothing too much. Right, the head is aura, so even taking a hijab off to wipe her head would break wudu. So ladies, can they do this? No, they can't. So it's not going to happen. So nobody's going to break their prayer, go and make a wudu and come back to the same point in prayer. If they break their wudu, they're just going to go fresh wudu, fresh new prayer. Right, but if you were wanting to carry on, you can't expose your aura. Right, that's basically the ruling. And also, you can't do what if you carry on, Hassan? 1 second. You also can't
reciting Quran on the way to renewing wudu or when returning from it.
Yeah, so same situation. You've broken your wudu now. You're going to go make wudu and come back. If you read Quran on your way there, on your way back, it breaks the prayer. You can't be reading Quran during that. You can't be doing anything basically. You got to just go make wudu and come back, right? But Quran would be something you might think, oh, I can read. No, you can't do that. If you read Quran on your way there, on your way back, but this is the qira'ah of your recitation. This actually would be the recitation of your prayer. So if you're recitation of your prayer, it wouldn't count and it would nullify your prayer, right? So that's, don't recite if you're not gonna do that. Like I said, you're just gonna start again with the new wudu. But yeah, that's if you read Quran, it'd break your prayer. Next one.
To remain in the prayer for an amount of time equivalent to performing a pillar, and his remaining is made while he is conscious, nullifies the prayer.
Yeah, same situation. So you've broken your wudu inadvertently, you don't know what's happened. You're going to go and make a fresh wudu and come back and carry on the prayer. If you delay that decision for the time it takes to perform a rukn, integral of the prayer, and then you think, right, I'll do it now. So it takes you like 10, 15 seconds to make that decision. It's too late. You broke your wudu, you didn't decide to do anything, your prayer is broken. You got to start a fresh prayer. These are all, like I said, not going to happen. These are all potential things that are based on a one incident, which is when wudu breaks inadvertently, you can go and freshen and make a new wudu and come back and continue the prayer. The prayer isn't broken, the wudu is broken. So there's a situation that the wudu breaks, the prayer doesn't break. That's what this situation is. You can go refresh your wudu and carry on your prayer. What we're saying is that's not going to happen. We're not going to practice that. We're going to basically say when our wudu is broken, our prayer is broken, we're going to start everything from scratch. But nevertheless, if you weren't taking the first option, which is very, very unlikely, you have the time for one integral to decide whether you want to carry on or not. If you don't decide in that time, time's up and you got to start. You make a fresh wudu and make a new salah. Next one.
To move away from nearby water to other water.
Yeah, same situation. You could have made wudu here. You went there and made wudu. It breaks your prayer. Can't come back to the prayer now and carry on. You want to fall further away water. That's not valid. Next one.
A person's exit from the mosque believing he has broken wudu.
Okay, yeah, good. So now it's slightly different. So again, same situation though, but you actually haven't broken your wudu. So you think you've broken your wudu, so I can carry on my prayer. So if I go to the wudu khana, wudu area, and make fresh wudu and come back, carry on my prayer. So the person makes those steps, okay, and that doesn't break the prayer because you're going to rectify your prayer. When you realize that actually, it says you think you've broken your wudu. When you realize you haven't broken your wudu and you've taken a few steps, just come back and carry on. Because you haven't broken your wudu, those steps are forgiven, okay? Because they were done for a valid reason, because you were actually going to make your wudu and come back. Your prayer isn't broken, remember? So in this situation, actually, you went and came back, and you didn't do anything. You can carry on praying. However, if you went thinking you've broken your wudu and you haven't, and you left the masjid, meaning not here the building, meaning the prayer hall, so you left the prayer hall into the wudu khana, your prayer is now broken, your wudu and your prayer, sorry, in this situation your wudu is intact because you thought you'd broken your wudu, you haven't, and your prayer is broken by having left the prayer hall without a valid reason. So whilst you're in the masjid, you have the whole masjid to, with the intention, obviously, you're going to do a fresh wudu. You can't walk around the masjid for the sake of it, that breaks your prayer. But if you did walk away from the prayer to the wudu khana until you're facing from the qibla and everything, but then realized, oh, wait a minute, I've got wudu, and you're still in the masjid, carry on. Just go back and carry on. If you have left the masjid by then, your prayer has broken, but your wudu hasn't because you thought you had broken it and you haven't, right? So it's a weird situation, but yeah, if that ever occurs, they won't occur either. I don't think anybody even knows that. I think anybody who breaks their wudu just simply does a new wudu and starts to pray again, which again, you would really, if you did that, that's the ruling. And if you're not in a masjid and the same thing happens, then Bismillah.
Crossing the lines of prayer in a place other than a mosque, believing oneself to have broken wudu.
Yeah, so same situation. You think you're broken wudu, you're not in a masjid now, you're in an open area outside. And how much distance have you got now? Here on that previous example, you have hold the masjid area to basically leave. Could be big, could be small. But in outside the masjid, you basically got the prayer itself. So where you're praying, if you step away from there, that's it. So if you got safs, once you go past the safs, so there might be 2-3 safs outside or whatever, then once you go past the rows, finished. If you just you by yourself, then a couple of steps and a few steps away, and that's it really. Yeah, it says actually here, I got in the commentary, it says you have the distance of your sujood in every direction. So yeah, a couple of steps, the distance of your sujood in every direction if there's nobody with you. If there's people with you, then when you go past the people. So if there's more safs, you get more time because you're still a part of the congregation, as long as you're attached to them. So once you've left them, you've left the congregation, you can't come back now. It's like leaving the masjid, okay? You've broken your prayer, not your wudu, because in this mas'ala, we're talking about somebody who thinks they've broken their wudu, is going to rectify and come back. If that's his intention, he has until he passes by all the people, let's say in an open area, or he leaves the masjid in a masjid before his prayer actually breaks, because this section is on what breaks the prayer. Yeah. Okay, now a similar situation but slightly different. Bismillah.
Moving away from one's position, believing he is not in a state of wudu, or that the time period of wiping the footgear has expired, or believing that he has neglected one of the previous obligatory prayers, or that he has filth on himself, nullifies a prayer even if this person does not exit the mosque in all these cases.
Yeah, so in this situation, there is the foundation of this masala that is different to the other ones previous to, in that you don't think you've broken your wudu in this one. Look carefully, it says you think you don't have wudu in the first place. So you basically started the prayer and you're in the prayer, and then you think incorrectly, by the way, right? You think that I didn't have wudu. I didn't make wudu before I started the prayer, but you have got wudu. So you just leave the prayer. That in itself, whether you leave the masjid, where you go past, you just turn around and you've broken your prayer, okay? Because you didn't go to rectify your prayer. You thought you'd broken your prayer. You thought you had no prayer. In the previous situation, what you were doing was to refresh your wudu. That's what you went for. You didn't leave your prayer. Your intention was, I'm still praying. I'll make my wudu and come back. In this one, you haven't got wudu, so I haven't got this prayer. I'm just leaving it. So you've left the prayer, you've broken it. So that can occur if you think you are not praying, you're not in wudu, or you think that the time for your wiping over your footgear has expired. Oh, I've not got a wudu, I'm going to go make a wudu and pray my prayer again. So you're not going to recontinue the prayer, and you can't. If that was to happen, you'd have to start a new prayer anyway. So if that's what you thought, you're going to be starting a new prayer. Or you thought, oh, I've got a prayer to make up, I better pray that prayer first, because you've got to be in the order. Remember, make-up prayer has to be in order. So let me stop this prayer and then pray that first. And think, oh, I actually didn't have a make-up prayer on me. It's too late. You've broken your prayer. So even if the person doesn't go in, exit the masjid, in all of these situations, in that final sentence, it says, it's better to resume from the very beginning of the prayer. In all these previous situations, when it started talking about covering the aura for wudu, from all of there till here, always just start the prayer again with the fresh wudu if you need to make a fresh wudu. Yeah. Bismillah.
It is better to repeat the prayer from the start to avoid disagreement between the scholars.
Yeah, exactly. So that's I read ahead, but yeah. So avoid khilaf. Sunnatul ahnaf al-khuruj min al-khilaf. Right. One of the principles we have in the Hanafi madhab is to try and make our worship in accordance with all opinions, or possibly, if it's possible, or majority. So to get out of the khilaf. So there's a mas'ala khilafiyya, meaning it's a difference of opinion over this. The Hanafis allow this. So we say that, based on looking at the hadith and the principles of legal, deduction, etc. There's an understanding here that you can carry the prayer on by refreshing your wudu. Others don't allow this. Other scholars have said, no, that's not what an understanding we've taken from the Quran and Sunnah. So again, it's better to make sure your prayer is valid according to all ulama, or as many ulama as possible, and varying opinions will. And this is the nature of law, by the way, and interpretation. This is a whole other topic. Obviously, sometimes we always touch on these kind of things, but really, it's better to. I mean, it's like, I'll give you an example. If there's, you follow the law of, we live in England, follow the law of England. You can't follow the law of, Egypt in England. It doesn't work. I want to follow the law of Egypt in England. I want to do this. We should do this and stuff. We've all got to follow one set of laws. Not to say Egypt's law is bad or good, or England is bad or good, regardless. Right? Just an example. We've got to stick to these, right? So normally we stick to the rules we have, right? We're in this school of thought, this understanding of fiqh. We stick to one. Can't mix them. I can't start practicing British law and Egyptian law and Chinese law in one place. It doesn't work. It's not practical. It's going to mess up things. People have to stick to one way and one methodology that is being legislated for a particular country. Similarly, in Islam, for our acts of worship, for our transactions and so forth, there were varying schools of thought. Each one of the four schools of Sunni thought are valid to follow for Orthodox Muslim, majority of Muslims. There are movements now talking against these. It's been a while, right? But alhamdulillah, they're dying out. They're not really got any substance to their arguments, etc. The Ummah for 1,000 years plus has understood you follow ulama and you follow the qualified, and that has turned into following the four qualified and scholarly schools of thought of fiqh, right? Like I said, it's a side discussion at the moment. But sometimes it's better when you follow that to try and follow it in the best of ways. So let's try and do things that actually, if I do this in my, it's not required of me to do this. But if I do it like this in the British law, it actually encompasses the laws of China and Japan as well, right? Or whatever it was, India and Egypt, I think we said, right? So actually my actions and the way we're behaving now, actually everyone would agree to them. Everyone would be happy with them. Okay, fantastic. Let's up the ante a bit. Let's make it stronger. Whereas if I did it in the normal way, where it's allowed here and nobody's going to say anything to me, people will be like, oh yeah, but they do this in England. It's not. So, it's not lesser. I'm not talking about actual England and Egypt or something. In Islamic, it's not lesser to do this or anything, but it's sometimes better and good to try and make your worship in a more broader, acceptance, right? And opinions. There's majority opinions with you, inshallah ta'ala. And in certain circumstances, British law may be changed because there's a whole sudden an epidemic or a pandemic and things change, right? So in Islam, necessities bring about change in laws, right? Certain elements, these are studied, right? There's certain principles, 6 or 7 of them, the principles that obviously many incidents and circumstances can change things, but they come back to about 6, 7 principles, how those can change the laws and affect the outcome. And that whole concept is usul fiqh and qawaid fiqhiyya, the principles of fiqh and the fiqh maxims. It's all another topic, but it's interesting as well, alhamdulillah. But yeah, we'll carry on. So bismillah, Hassan, if you carry on, please.
To help or instruct other than one's own imam.
Yeah, so he means help and instruct as in with the recitation. So if the imam gets stuck on the recitation, you can help your imam. So you can say the words, you can give an indication, you can give a kind of kind of clue to the imam, can initiate or continuation of the recitation. You may just forgotten one word, so you say one word, and that's fine. You can say 2 words, you can say 3, 4 words. You can recite. There is a difference of opinion of how much you can say or should say, and whether it nullifies your prayer, even with your own imam. But you can, you can help the imam, and those who are qualified know what to do. Again, who would do this? The person standing behind the imam, because one of the times he may need your help. So again, in Taraweeh, in prayers, have the knowledgeable, qualified person standing behind the imam. That's where he's expecting to hear help from, and he doesn't mind. He knows that it's human nature. but he's not expecting somebody from the 10th Saf to start shouting the next word in the Quran. If you're in the 10th Saf, don't say anything. You can, but don't say anything. It's not really good etiquette to shout it from 10 Safs back. You might not even get heard, right? But just because and the Imam doesn't know, and don't, just because you happen to know on that day, you can get stuck on Fatiha for sometimes, and it can happen, you can get stuck on Surah Ikhlas. It just happens sometimes, right? This happens. So the follower is allowed to help the Imam, his own Imam. However, if you're praying a prayer, it's not likely to happen, and there's another Jamaat or somebody just praying by himself and you can hear his recitation or something, and the other person is stuck, he's not praying with you in your congregation, and you decide to help him when he gets stuck, as you're following that Imam, and you can hear this person or this congregation or whatever, it might be a late Jamaat or something, whilst you're praying by yourself and there's a Jamaat going on. It could be in a situation, and you hear that person get stuck and you're praying your prayer with the Imam by yourself, it doesn't matter, and you decide to help that person because you're not too far away, you can project your voice, and then you can help the Jamaat out because they're stuck. That breaks your prayer, because you can't interact with somebody doing something else outside of your prayer. Your Imam is okay because it's your prayer, you're actually rectifying your prayer. You can move somebody in your prayer, you can get them, and you can move step forward to rectify your prayer, but you can't interact with another prayer or another thing going on. It's an act of worship, I know, it's a prayer, I know, but it's not your prayer, it's separate, so you can't interact with those people. If you interact with them, it's like giving them salam, it's like talking to them, it's like being a part of their prayer. So you're praying by yourself with this Jamaat, or you're praying with them on that, what's going on? I was praying with these. Well, then you've broken that and you've gone to them, because you start talking to them and helping them. So you can't help you other than your own Imam in prayer, right? So if you do happen to hear somebody stuck and you're praying, don't help them, right? Only the person you can help if they get stuck is your own Imam of your prayer. And even in that situation, how many of us are qualified to help the Imam and so forth? Very few of us. So again, for most of us, we never really in our lives would ever have to help the Imam and give him giving an opening, giving the next words, or the next letter or the next word, most likely, of the ayah or the previous word, so you can go back and continue, inshallah ta'ala. So that's maybe for specific group of people, but they should know the ruling on that. Okay, next one.
To utter Allahu Akbar during prayer with the intention of changing to another prayer.
Yeah, so intending to change your prayer doesn't change your prayer. I get this question comes sometimes. See, I was praying, 2 nafal, and I decided I just want to make it into 2 rakat tarawih or whatever. I was going to pray my father. I want to change it to nafal because I want to pray nafal, etc. That intention doesn't change anything. Okay, changing the intention during a prayer does not change the prayer. Okay. It doesn't change the prayer. So you can just intend 100 prayers while it's praying. It doesn't change the initial intention. You intended 4 rakat fard isha, Allah Akbar, it's 4 rakat fard isha. Intention now, okay, I want to make this nafil, thing in your heart. No, it's become nafil, I'm praying fard after. When you finish that prayer, it's fard. You can't change the intention during a prayer. You can't change the prayer with the intention during the prayer. However, what does it say here? It says at-takbiru. So you now make a takbir. In this takbir, you intend to start a new prayer. So you're not even finished this prayer. So you're praying 2 rakat, 4 rakats Isha. You think, you know what, I want to pray nafil first. I want to pray some nafil before I pray my Isha. And you say, you intend in your heart 4 rakat nafil or sunnah ghair muqaddar before Isha. You want to pray them, you want to pray them. Allahu Akbar. And you just change prayer. You can do that. That works. So you basically abandon the previous prayer, whatever you were in it, and you've jumped into the other prayer, which which I don't think you'd want to do. Maybe there's a situation that would be, you want to do that. Maybe a good example of that is you're praying your Zohar 4 rakats sunnah, and you look at the time, you think, there's 2 minutes left till Asr. I'm praying my sunnah. I need to pray my fard. You intend your fard there and then and say Allahu Akbar, you go straight to the fard. Okay, that's an example where you might practically actually need to use this mas'ala. So it breaks the previous prayer, but you actually start the next prayer. So the previous prayer is broken, it stops there. Whatever you prayed is just that, whether it's 1 rakat, half a rakat, 3 rakats, it doesn't matter. And you move into the prayer you intend with the takbir. So whatever you intend, it becomes that prayer. If it's the same prayer, I'm intending 4 rakats, fard isha, Allahu Akbar, you just do Allahu Akbar and raise your hands. It doesn't break the prayer, it shouldn't really be done. So you've got to intend another prayer and move to that prayer. It does this will move your prayer, but not intention alone. What's in the heart doesn't affect the prayer in the prayer. Like when you think things and you intend things, and it doesn't affect anything. of the prayer. So your prayer can be valid and you can have 1 million intentions in your heart. They won't change the validity and the prayer itself. It's when you do an action coupled with an intention that could change the prayer. Okay, Bismillah Hassan, next one.
If any one of these mentioned nullification points occurs before adopting the last sitting for the equivalent time of reciting the tashahhud, the prayer is deemed void.
Yeah, so there's a mas'ala here where when does the prayer end? You know, people ask this question, you know, when am I classified as my prayer having ended? And that is with the salam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. However, that salam to end the prayer is not a fard, it is a wajib. What is it? It's a wajib. It's not integral, it's a necessary component. So you've done all the integrals of prayer. You've done your takbir, your standing, your recitation, your ruku, your sujood, your tashahhud, your last sitting, and all in between, all the wajibat, whatever you've done everything. The integrals are done. You have a wajib left at the end of your prayer. When does that wajib can be enacted? Is at this point, or after this point actually, the last sitting. Once you've completed the last sitting, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu, there's only one wajib left. Obviously you have the sunnah of salawat or durood sharif, you have sunnah of dua, only one wajib, which is salam. So you've done everything apart from one major thing, which is assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So at this point you break your wudu. Any of the previous things happen, you go insane, you break your wudu, you talk to somebody gives you salam, you reply back to them with salam, you know, you start talking to another imam, you help him. What did we have said? What did we have else? You know, you were naked and you found clothing. A lady come and joined your prayer next to you. The sun came out at Fajr. The time for your leather socks being wiped became complete. So these all will break the prayer and the wudu as well. Sometimes the wudu as well, right? What happens? It says these things previously mentioned break your prayer if they happen before that point. So after that point, what happens? Your prayer is complete. You finished. Even well, I can't do anything because I broke up my prayer. So you're not broken your prayer because we're saying, look, your prayer is complete. What we're saying is you can't give the salam. That's what's left, isn't it? You have to give a durood sharif, dua, which is sunnah, and then it's salam. So you now can't give a salam. But guess what? You've done everything else. So now for that, what do? You don't have to, but you can read the whole prayer again to give the salam because you've got salam left, or you just carry on with your life. You've done the prayer, right? These things, something like this happened. It stopped you from giving the final salam. Yes, you missed a wajib of the prayer, but it wasn't deliberate, and you know life carries on, and you managed to get the prayer. So you will be considered to have performed that prayer, and you've done the fard. If it was a fard of Fajr and the sun rose, or you know it was fard of Dhuhr and your wudu broke at this point, whatever. You fainted. If you have or any of these happen after the last sitting, your prayer is valid and done. And if it happens before then yeah, you didn't get the prayer. You didn't finish the prayer. You only finish the prayer when you've done the last integral, which is the last sitting, and you haven't done that yet, and you've broken your prayer for any of these reasons. You have to start it again from scratch, from the very beginning. If you get past the tashahhud at the end, you've done it. And if it does break, then it breaks because you've still got a few things left, but none of them are integrals, and therefore you don't need to repeat the prayer necessarily. Requirement. Some have recommended it that you should to give the final salam, and it's mashallah good, but you don't have to. You've done the integrals, you've done the prayer. You literally had 10-20 seconds left and a few things left. You don't have to repeat the prayer like as a must in that situation. Yep. So Bismillah. Next one, Hassan.
It is also invalid by extending the hamza in the takbir.
Yeah. So anywhere this is anywhere, not just at the end or the beginning. Anywhere you extend the hamza of takbir, so you say Allahu Akbar. You haven't started the prayer, it's the first takbir. If it happens anywhere in the prayer, like into sajda, into ruku, it breaks the prayer. I'll repeat that for you. By the way, it means, is Allah the greatest? Does it mean Allah is the greatest? When you say Allahu Akbar, you're not saying Allahu Akbar. That stretching the lam is okay. Stretching the hamza is not okay. Allahu Akbar, not good. Haram in a sense, right? You're asking the question, is Allah the greatest? What yes and that for? You're not trying to make a point. You're just trying to say Allah is the greatest. Don't ask the question. If you say Allahu Akbar, that's a normal takbir. Extending the lam of the name of Allah is perfectly normal, and that's fine. So be careful not to stretch the hamza and to only stretch the lam. Okay, that makes sense, Hassan?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, brilliant. Carry on then, please.
Reciting Quran that is not memorized.
Yeah, this is an important point now, because we've got Taraweeh and some people are saying, can we read from the Mus'haf? Yeah, can we open the Quran in front of us? Can I put my tablet up, and it's got nice zoom in, big writing? Can I put like a 5-6 lines in front of me, and can I start reading from there whilst I'm in my prayer? Because I'm not going to be touching it, I'm not going to be moving, I'm just going to be looking at it, but it's not not memorized. It says, well, you don't memorize from the Mus'haf to read that. So the opinion of Abu Hanifa is that if you read anything from outside of, well, basically from that you haven't memorized, right? You can read from outside if you memorize this. If you know Surah Yasin, you've got it in front of you, it doesn't break your prayer because you know it. And if you're looking at it to read it, if you know it in your heart, you're taking it as an aid, like reminding yourself. You're not learning Surah Yasin, you're reminding yourself Surah Yasin. It's fine. But if you're actually reading the Quran that you have not memorized, what you're doing is you're learning. So this idea of learning is external to the prayer, right? Talaqqun, you're taking on the teaching of the Quran and learning it, whilst at the same time you're praying, okay? Imam Hanifa regarded that as something that nullifies the prayer. So you can't do those two things. You can't learn something. You can, if you see it and you understand it and, it comes into your head, that doesn't break your prayer. Because you're not, you see things all the time. If I'm praying here in my room, I do have the library to one side. Sometimes I do look over and I see the name of a book. I'm used to it now, so I don't really look. But it doesn't break your prayer if you see the name of a book or some writing or something. If you read it though, yes, it does. Okay, so if you saw something of the Quran even, and you thought, I'll read that Quran in my prayer because I don't know it. According to Abu Hanifa, it breaks the prayer. However, the Sahibain, there's a whole discussion on this in the Hanafi madhab, but Sahibain and other scholars like Imam Shafi, Imam Malik, they allowed one to read from a Mus'haf. Somebody who doesn't memorize the Quran, if they can hold it, because you're not going to make a lot of movement, like you just keep it there. And we see this actually in some parts. They used to hold it, they used to fold it and put it in there, and then go into. So you're not going to, if you've got the right kind of pocket size and size of the Quran, the copy of the Quran, etc., it can work pretty well. Some people have it to their side, and they have a stand, they read, and they'll just put it to the side, and they'll go back into ruku. So they're not moving a lot. If you're going to move a lot, it breaks the prayer. So that's why I'm giving you examples. So some people, they do hold the Quran, they don't move a lot, they do look at it. And now with technology, we've come to screens, right? So you can put up the TV in front of you and have a massive screen there and look at it. When we were in Syria, actually, we used to pray Taraweeh. The followers, not the imams were, mashallah, Hafiz and etc. But they used, some of the followers, especially the first rows, they would put out massive copies of the Quran. Like when I say massive, I mean like, half, maybe like just under half of my, like 3 foot, like these massive meter long in height copies of the Quran. They were massive. You could see them from really far away. You could make them out, alhamdulillah. So they put these at the front. And the way they read Taraweeh there in the masajid that I would go to, and commonly the way they would read Taraweeh there, is they would read exactly a page in a rakat. So I don't have the Medina Mus'haf with me. I do have it over there because that's one I recite from. In the Mus'haf, in certain copies of the Quran, Mus'haf means copies of the Quran, every page starts with an ayah and finishes with an ayah. Predominantly in the subcontinent, India, Pakistan, even other regions, the Quran, the copies of the Quran don't start the page and the pages don't begin and end with the ayah. So halfway through an ayah, you'll turn the page. Common, you guys are reading the Quran now in Ramadan. You're turning the page halfway through an ayah. Certain copies, prints, the calligraphy will be written as such and design that every page starts with an ayah and finishes with an ayah. So they basically open up 2 pages. Yep, it's open page, open book of the Quran, open Quran. They read the first page in the first rakat and the opposite page there on the second rakat and give salams. So you don't need to even touch the Quran, it's open. Next 2 rakats, you get up, they turn the page, read that page, and the Imam read it by memory, and they read that page, and you could follow literally by looking at it. And sometimes I got to the front row, I used to follow as well. It doesn't break your prayer if you're looking at it and listening to the Imam. I'm not reciting. So we used to look at one page, and then during the second rakat, look at the second page. They finish the 2 rakats, they turn the page, And I remember they used to have the like elastic bands to keep it from flicking over, etc. So this is ways now where you could, according to other opinions, not Imam Hanifa, read the Quran in Taraweeh by looking at it. Imam Hanifa was strict on this. He said, look, you can't read the Quran from outside of your memory in your prayer. You have to memorize it. If you want to take the Quran as the aid after memorizing it, like Surah Yasin, Ayatul Kursi or something, and you've got it in front of you, because these things that sometimes these are on the walls or in front of us, and we look at them and read them. That won't break your prayer because you're reminding yourself of what you memorized. So a Hafiz of Quran can do it. He can put the Quran there and follow it because he's Hafiz and just aiding himself in reminding himself he gets stuck. That's fine. It's allowed in a sense. And then, like I said, other scholars have said even if you don't know the Quran, you can actually read it. And in certain times and situations where in this Ramadan, normally you'd say go to the masjid and follow the imam to do your khatam of the Quran. This Ramadan, you can't do a khatam in Taraweeh, or most of us can't. Vast majority will not be able to do khatam in the Taraweeh. We can read the khatam outside of Taraweeh. So can we now get a mushaf, put it on, or get a tablet, copy of the Quran, put it up, and every rakat read a certain portion of the Quran? Because if you get a big, nice size tablet and you put it in the right mode, you can probably get a page, and you can kind of read that in my salah, and so forth. The answer is yes. If you really, because we're encouraging ibadah here, right? What we're trying to do is make you help you read the Quran in your salah. People are struggling to read the Taraweeh at home by themselves. If you actually somebody wants to read the Taraweeh and read the Quran more and more and go through the Quran, alhamdulillah, I think that dispensation is there. Sometimes, like we said, you take the laws of others if they're helpful to you, right? Sometimes we not think, oh, you know what, in Egypt they do this, we'll take that from Egypt, we'll change it for this circumstance, right? It's not for ever. Normally we'd say go to the masjid, follow the imam, listen to the Quran. We're going to say now, look, because you can't do that, open it up, put it somewhere where it's in front of you, follow it, read it in your Taraweeh prayers if you want to. So I would say those who want to and have the desire and passion to do that, Bismillah, go ahead. I think encouraging ibadah in this time is good. If people have that desire, alhamdulillah, I think it's a good, and it's an opinion of a majority of scholars as well, actually. We do follow the Hanafi school, like I said, and understanding, and it has its principles and its sound. But sometimes, like we said, there are other options available, and the circumstances allow us to take those options. In this case, I think, it's a good option to take for those who will. I don't think many will take this, and so forth, but it is good for those who want to, inshallah ta'ala. Yeah, so another side discussion, but the default ruling in Hanafi school, outside of Ramadan, outside of special circumstances, what we're in now, is generally if you read something from a copy of the Quran, even if it's on the wall, and you don't memorize that, and you read it in your salah for your recitation, it will break your prayer. Yeah. What do you think to that one, Hassan? Are you going to start reading the Quran now in your Taraweehs?
Well, to be honest, just the clarity on that. Obviously, if someone who's a Hafiz, they can put the Quran in front of them or on a iPad or something whilst they're praying. Is that right?
Yeah. So they can, because they're using it as a reminder, not as a learning aid. So they've got there. So if they get stuck, they don't look at it. Oh, that's what it is, and carry on. They don't need to look at it to decide. If they need to look at it to decide, then the hifz isn't strong enough, let's say, then no. The hifz is solid. They've done the Quran khatam. They've read it to their teachers. They've been graduated. So they've done the hifz of the Quran. Obviously, it does get weaker, and you need to revise and stuff. But they need it as an aid, just in case they get stuck. Then it's okay. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
And the follower behind the Hafiz can have one looking at as well, just in case the Imam makes a mistake.
Not necessarily for that, just to follow. So none of us, when we were in Syria, we corrected the Imam. There was already scholars there, and great reciters that were doing the Taraweeh. So nobody would get involved with that. It was just for ourselves to follow on the page. I remember it was actually much easier to follow when you have it in front of you. Like you can actually read it with the Imam. Well, not read it, but follow it. So I remember when I got to the front stuff a few times that I was following on these big copies of the Quran, but nobody ever corrected the Imam. He did get stuck. It's human nature to get stuck here and there. There's always somebody behind the Imam. There's like 3-4 Hafiz usually, at the front. They do it amongst themselves. So this isn't really normal to use for that. But yeah, and again, in this situation where you're all at home and nobody's there, and one person's, can do it, and can we, yeah, inshallah, there's a bit more room for it in this circumstance. In normal circumstances, go to the masjid to pray your tarawih. That's what everyone would do.
That's good. Never knew that, but good to know now for the remainder of Ramadan anyway.
Yeah, so if you don't want to do the full Quran, let's say you want to recite Surah Baqarah in your Tarawih, but you can't because you don't remember Surah Baqarah, it's a long surah, but you say, what, in 5-6 days I can do Surah Baqarah in my Tarawih. It changes things up. It makes me go through a new surah of the Quran. I'll do that. Yeah, Bismillah, do it slowly. You don't have to do long rakats and do, a full page. You can do like 3 lines, each rakat, and just mark it out, and just follow that. So yeah, it's an option to engage with the Quran. That's the thing, though. What we're trying to do here is help Muslims and everyone to engage with the Quran during the month of Ramadan, because we've lost that this Ramadan. In normal circumstances, I wouldn't, and people are listening now. If you are listening to this outside of Ramadan, the recordings, and at the moment it's going to be in Ramadan, it's going to be the lockdown. If you're listening to this outside of the lockdown, then no, we wouldn't recommend that. We'd recommend you just go to the masjid and pray with the Imam and follow the reception of the Imam and learn the Quran yourself, memorize the Quran as much as you can. It's a beautiful thing to have in your life. The more Quran you have, the Prophet honored that. The Battle of Uhud, when the martyrs were buried, the Prophet would ask who has more Quran with them, who memorized more Quran. They would say so and so. He got the first spot. He got the special spot, not like special, but the better spot. Let's say slightly better. And then the second person was after that. So they shared the graves, in other words, right? So it's a great honor to have more Quran. So that's what really the goal is, right? If we start, it's like technology, it's making things easy for us, but it's making us lazy and less resilient and less skillful. So if we allow all these things, it's going to actually be, in the long run, not be good for us. So we need people to memorize the Quran and not just resort to, I've got my iPad, I've got, there's this ruling or this, that, the other. So there's wisdom in the rulings as well. Yeah, alhamdulillah. Okay, bismillah, next one.
To perform a pillar of prayer, or having time to perform a pillar, during which one's private area is uncovered, or during which one has filth on his clothes, nullifies prayer.
Yeah, so if you perform a whole rukn of prayer, or even if you don't perform the whole thing, even if there's a timer you had to perform, and the time of a rukn, which is integral of prayer, which is to go into sajda, say Subhana Rabbiyal A'la, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la, and then to come out of the sajda, that rough time is, if you for that time your aura was uncovered. So private area for men and women is different. We talked about this at the very beginning of our classes, class number 1, refer back to that. Then it breaks your prayer. Similarly, if you were to carry najasa, so this must happen during the prayer, right? Some najasa falls on you, could be near something that splashes on you or something, and now you carry that najasa, it doesn't instantly break your prayer. So uncovering aura a little bit or something happens, doesn't instantly break the prayer. Okay, if it remains uncovered for that time, it breaks the prayer. Similarly, najasa coming onto you, which is, as it says, preventive, there's a certain amount which is allowed. So if you get a tiny amount of najasa, it's pardoned. There's a certain amount that's pardoned. It goes beyond that, it's a large amount, it's not little anymore. And you don't take it off, you don't remove it without excessive movement as well. Within the time it takes to perform an integral of the prayer, takbir, Subhan Rabbiyal A'la, Subhan Rabbiyal A'la, Subhan Rabbiyal A'la, Allahu Akbar, that kind of rough time, then your prayer will also break. So you can't carry najasa and pray at the same time. That will break the prayer if that najasa is more than a pardoned amount, right? And again, what is a pardoned amount? What isn't a pardoned amount? It's not in these lecture series classes, but we have done this before, and it's in the previous section, the Babul Tahara, the book of purification, which we've not done. We've started on the book of prayer, but yeah, learn the rules of purification for those kind of things, inshallah ta'ala. Next one, Hassan.
Performing a pillar earlier than one's imam and not being joined by the imam in its performance invalidates the prayer.
Yeah, so if you're going to, we'll use ruku as an example, because you're with the imam and you're standing. You go into ruku first. Yeah, so you've gone ahead of the imam, and the imam doesn't join you in ruku. So we'll have to take 2 people. I don't know how we do it. There we go. Let's get the diagram up. Maybe that's better. Have I got it? Yeah, I have. So we've got the imam here. He's praying. Right, and then you've got followers behind him, right? They're all praying there. Right, so this is imam, his masalla, that's their masallas, yeah, whatever. And what happens is a follower, so the muqtadi, the follower, one of these guys decides, let's put a red on him because he's a bad guy, decides to do his ruku. So he goes down into ruku, puts his arms down there, right? The imam is going to ruku, yeah, what is he doing? He's gone ahead of the imam. First of all, that's bad in itself, sinful in itself, right? There's many severe hadith talking about preceding the imam in prayer, right? So the imam and the rest of the congregation are going to go into takbir after. So the imam says Allahu Akbar, right? So he'll say Allahu Akbar, and he'll go into his ruku, yeah, and he'll go there, and so will the rest of these guys. So all of these guys will be in ruku. Now at this time, him going in, if they meet, so if that's ruku and that's ruku, the prayer is valid. Okay, if they meet, it's valid. It doesn't say that. It says if they don't meet, it's invalid. So what happens is, at this point, the imam is in ruku. At the same point, this follower comes out of ruku. So what the scenario is now is, here's the imam. Oh, so here's the, let's start again. This same scenario, just the next scene, if you like, is the imam is in ruku. Yep. The followers are in ruku. However, this follower, let's make him red again so it's the bad guy. Right? He's let's give him a longer body. He stood up, yeah, and he's looking at everyone thinking, what are they in ruku for? Right? So what he needs to do right now is actually go back into ruku to save his prayer. But if he doesn't meet the imam in ruku at all, so he went before, he came out, the imam went to ruku, came out, then they went to sajda, khalas, his prayer is broken, invalid. He never made ruku with the imam. If you come later and you don't make it, that's different. So the imam goes into ruku, you may say, you're in the prayer, so it's third rakat, fourth rakat, then you do your ruku after, it's okay. But we're talking about somebody who preceded the imam into a ruku, then comes out of the ruku, and then goes into sajda with the imam. So he didn't ever catch a ruku, any part of his ruku was never with the imam, okay? That would invalidate the prayer. Does that make sense? If you go before the imam, it's a major condition, and then you never meet the imam at any point in the ruku, so in that same ruku, or you jump again into, you do a second ruku for yourself. So again, it's a second ruku, but you get a second ruku, then it's valid. But at no point was your ruku with the imam having preceded him, then that would nullify your prayer. You would no longer be considered. It's not valid prayer, right? So yeah, be aware of that. Okay, next one, Hassan.
If a latecomer joins the imam in the prostrations of forgetfulness after he had already risen to make up the actions he missed, his prayer is void.
Yeah, so if a latecomer, so latecomer someone who's missed the beginning of the prayer, is with the imam, finishes the prayer, and the imam gives salam, and he stands now. He stands to do what? Make up what he missed at the beginning. Congregation prayer, the brothers will know you have to make up after you've prayed what you caught with the imam, 2, 3 rakats. You have to make 1, 2, 3, or even 4 sometimes. So you stand up to make those rakats. What happens is the imam goes into sajda to sahu, because he might have made a mistake. He might not have done it straight away. He might have forgot. So he might have done it too late. Or he might have done it late. What have you done? You've gone up to pray your missed rakats. So what have you actually left the imam? You've left the imam. You've decided not to pray with the imam and pray your own prayer, because when you make up what you're making up, you're praying it by yourself. But instead of carrying on with that prayer, you decide to go back to sajda to sahu because your imam's done that. You think, I've got to go follow him. That will nullify the prayer of the latecomer. Right? So it's the latecomer's prayer that gets nullified in this situation. Yeah. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Right, doesn't that make sense?
Kind of. So if you've come in late and the imam's then obviously at the end doing the sajda of forgetfulness, would you then follow the imam into the sajda of forgetfulness?
So in the sajda of forgetfulness, can you follow the imam? Yes, you can, because you're going to come back to the tashahhud and then you can catch the tashahhud at the end. We're not talking about somebody who's catching the imam in that. We're talking about somebody who's left the imam because he was late. So he's joined the imam, prayed 1, 2, 3, 4 rakats, or 3, can't pray 4. And then he's given salam, imam's given salam, and he's got up after the imam salams. And then he's rejoined. We're talking about rejoining the imam. He's rejoined the imam because why would he rejoin the imam for if the imam's given salam? Because the imam's decided to do sajdatul sahu. So when he rejoins the imam at this point, he breaks his prayer. Okay? Does that make sense now?
Yeah.
He will no longer have fard prayer. He'll get reward of what he's prayed. It won't say it's waste, but He won't have a fard prayer. He's got to start a fard prayer. He'll give salam at the imam and start a fard prayer from scratch.
But what if he doesn't rejoin and continues his missed rak'ah whilst the imam's doing?
He says that sahu, that's fine. You know, he's missed sahu with the imam because he left early.
Yeah.
But missing sahu with the imam doesn't nullify the prayer.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you've. Oh, actually, wait a minute. That's a very good question, actually. To be honest, you need to add a condition here. You can go back to the imam as long as you haven't made the sajda. So you can go back to the imam and follow the imam until you make the sajda of the rakat you're standing in. So if you stand up to pray by yourself and you're reciting the Quran and the imam makes the sahu, you can go back. You can go back. But if you've done your sajda, you've done a ruku, you've done a sajda, now you can't. Now you've done your rakat basically, because that's what a rakat is. It's standing, recitation, bowing and sajda. So now you're doing an extra rakat, you can't go back to the imam. It will break the prayer then it will break the prayer. Yeah. So if you go back before then, you can carry on the prayer. Yes. If you go back before then, you join the imam and you can carry on the prayer. Yeah, that's correct. I hope that makes sense now.
Yeah, that's more clear. If after the last sitting, just before the final salams, one remembers he omitted a prostration of the prayer and as a result performs it, then the failure to repeat the last sitting again nullifies his prayer.
Yeah, so this sajda, right? So you make an extra sajda because you didn't do one in your prayer. You can do that. If you do that, then you got to repeat the tashahhud. So you miss a sajda in your prayer. How can you miss sajda? It can happen. Because the second sajda after the first one of every rakat is a fard, but if not done in its place, can be done later. So it's a fard to do it, but not there and then. It's a wajib to do it then. And we all do two the sajdas. But in case you miss the second one, you can make it up at the end of the prayer. When you make it up at the end of the prayer, then you need to repeat the tashahhud after it. So you can't just do the sajda at the end of the prayer and say, I finished my prayer. No, you do the sajda that you missed at some point in the prayer, and then you do a tashahhud. You sit after that and recite the tashahhud for your prayer to be valid, right? You don't have to recite it, but you would as a wajib, but you have to sit at the end. So if that was to occur and you don't repeat the last sitting, your prayer becomes invalid. Yeah. Okay, next one, Hassan.
Failure to repeat a pillar after previously performing it while asleep invalidates the prayer.
Yeah, so again, how can you sleep and pray? It can be talked about that you can fall asleep in prayer. You can't sleep and pray, but you can fall asleep in prayer and not break the prayer. If that happens, and let's say you were in sajda, as you were in sajda, you fell asleep, then you woke up and got out of sajda, you were asleep in sajda. You never performed sajda in a wakeful state. Right at the beginning, actually, of this whole section, we talked about being awake throughout the prayer is a condition for the validity of the prayer. You can't be asleep. Right? If you fall asleep, it doesn't nullify the prayer, but it doesn't make you a valid performance. It could nullify the prayer because it could break your wudu. So it's a sleep that doesn't break the wudu, right? That's the kind of sleep that can occur. Again, purification section would have talked about that. Now, you may have performed, you may not have, but you may have performed integral of prayer whilst asleep, like sajda. You fell asleep, came out. I don't remember sajda, but my head was somewhere on the floor. You were asleep. So you must repeat that. So you must do another sajda whilst awake to actually do the sajda. It's not a repetition, it's actually a sajda. And then your prayer is valid. If you don't do that and you just carry on with the prayer, your prayer is not complete and valid because you didn't perform the sajda, the integral, rukn, in a wakeful state. You need to perform all the arkan in a wakeful state. You can't be in a sleep state, in a na'im state. Yeah. Okay, next one.
A loud burst of laughter by the imam, deliberate or not, nullifies the prayer even for the one who arrived late to the prayer.
Yeah, so if you read on the next one as well, I read that on the next one together.
Intentionally breaking wudu after reciting the tashahhud in the last sitting invalidates the prayer.
Yeah, so these are two together actually. So to laugh at the imam laughing out loud and the deliberate breaking of the wudu of the imam, two things, after the last sitting. Okay, so again, remember we said earlier, not too long ago. We said that if you sit the last sitting, there's only one wajib left, all the arkan are done, and if your salah breaks at that point, then you don't have to repeat it. It's done, right? You can, like I said, some say in this situation, because you deliberately broke it, you should repeat it to perform just a salam, right? But your prayer is done in terms of the integrals and the fard. So whether that was by laughing out loud, which breaks the wudu and breaks the prayer, whether that was by breaking your wudu deliberately, you're not giving salam because you had salam to do, it breaks the prayer, but you kind of have done all the integrals. So it's fine, you know, for the imam, it's fine. For the people who are with the imam from the beginning, it's fine. But there's a person called a latecomer. A latecomer is somebody who's missed one or more rakats from the beginning of the prayer. That person's prayer is broken, but he hasn't completed his prayer. Everyone's prayer is broken, but they've all completed it in a sense because they've got to the last tashahhud and beyond. This person, the latecomer, has got 1, 2, or 3 rakats at this point. He's got at least one to make up, but he can't make it up. Why not? Because the imam's broken everybody's prayer. Everybody's prayer is gone. He's decided to, you know, laugh out loud. He decided to break his wudu. He's finished his prayer. Everyone's finished their prayer, but not finished it as in given salam and finished, broken it and finished it. So because the masbook, the latecomer's prayer is also broken, he's not finished though because he's a latecomer. So what does he happen? What happens for him? His prayer in this situation is completely nullified. He doesn't get a fard even. He gets reward inshallah for his prayed, but then he would have to get up and make a fard prayer as a fard prayer. For the imam, they do some have said it's wajib for him to repeat the whole prayer just to say the salam at the end. He's done all the integrals, perform them correctly, but because he deliberately broke it for the salam and make him repeat all, because you can't just do a salam, you can't just say Allahu Akbar, Assalamu alaikum, there's no such thing as that, right? To get to that last salam, you have to get to the end of the prayer. So I've got to repeat the whole prayer. You know, there is a fatwa. I believe the correct opinion is that yes, due to that being deliberate, the person needs to repeat the whole prayer just to give salam. When it's inadvertent, like we said earlier, if you break your wudu, or the sun rises, or the wiping of leather starts breaks just before that point, just after that point of tashahhud, and you didn't get to give salam. It's a very small time frame that these could happen in, by the way. And because it's so small and it wasn't your deliberately done, and in those situations, we're not going to require it for you to be repeated the whole prayer just to give a salam at the end. But in this case, when you deliberately did it, why? You know, that's actually bad etiquette, bad manners, and there's a punishment for that, which is, you know, you should really repeat the prayer. But it's not a fard the repetition in a sense because you don't know the fard. It's one of those in-betweeners. You know, it's kind of a punishment more than a requirement kind of thing, right? Allah knows best. Yeah, but that's the mas'ala. So the prayer actually is completely broken and nullified for the latecomer because his imam's kind of done him over, as we'd say. You know, he's messed him up. He can't continue his prayer. Everyone else, they don't appreciate either that the imam's just, you know, done something rather than give salam, but their prayer is complete. So that's is valid. So that's the important thing to note there. And next one, Hassan.
Giving the final salams of prayer after 2 rakats, believing one to be a traveler, or believing it to be the Friday prayer or Tarawih, wherein in reality it is the Isha prayer. This is also the case if one is new to Islam and believes the obligatory prayer is 2 rakats when it is not.
Yeah, so in all situations, what happens is you give salam at 2 rakats, right? Why do you give salam at the end of 2 rakats? It says, not other than a 2 rakat prayer, of course, right? So you're praying Fajr and you give salam 2 rakats, no problem in doing that. But you did it because you thought that is, I'm a traveler, right? So travelers pray 2 rakats, I'm giving salams. You thought it's Jummah, I'm only praying 2 rakats here in this congregation. You gave salam, the Imam gave salam, let's say at 2 rakats. You thought it was Taraweeh prayer, where everybody's praying Isha, so you give salam after 2 rakats. This would be in congregation, some of them. Or somebody's new to Islam and thinks after 2 rakats you give salam, so they give salam. In all these situations, it would nullify, you can't carry on after that salam, right? You would break the prayer, okay? Because in all those situations, what you're thinking is the prayer I'm praying is 2 rakats fard, and I've given salam at the end of my prayer, and I've completed my prayer. That's it. This is different, okay, to if you forget. These are not forgetfulness. These are thinking you're in a different situation. So you're thinking you're a traveler. You're thinking it's Jummah. You're thinking you actually got a conscious decision. If you're praying 4 rakat fard of, let's say, Isha, and you just forget, and so we do forget sometimes, and we go to the end of the second rakat, we do at-tahiyat, we go all the way to Durush, you think, oh, I'm supposed to, it's rakat number 2, I've got to get up, I shouldn't have left so much. So that doesn't break the prayer. And even if you give salam at the end of that, you're giving salam, think, why am I going to the end of second rakat giving salam? I'm praying Isha, it's 4 rakats. You're not thinking you're a traveler, you're not thinking you've got Jummah, you're not thinking it's Tarawih, you just got no other reason than forgetfulness. In this situation, it doesn't break the prayer. You can and you should continue the prayer and get back up. But because you've delayed the prayer, so you should have got up at وَأَشْهَدُ أَنَّ مُحَمَّدًا عَبْدُهُ وَرَسُولُهُ Allahu Akbar, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. You should have done that. Because you didn't do that, you did وَأَشْهَدُ أَنَّ مُحَمَّدًا عَبْدُهُ وَرَسُولُهُ اللَّهُمَّ صَلِّ عَلَى مُحَمَّدٍ وَعَلَى آلِ مُحَمَّدٍ, all the way to رَبِّ اجْعَلْنِي مُقِيمَ الصَّلَاةِ وَمِنْ ذُرِّيَّتِي رَبَّنَا وَتَقَبَّلْ دُعَاء رَبَّنَا اغْفِرْ لِي وَلِوَالِدَيَّ وَلِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَوْمَ الْحِسَابِ. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Isha. Allahu Akbar. Might raise hands. Allahu Akbar. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. You can go back to the third rakat. But why is it allowed in this situation? This is forgetfulness. Okay. And you haven't done anything to nullify the prayer, as in you haven't talked to somebody, you haven't eaten something, you just forgot where you are in your prayer. You can go back to where you were. In these situations, you're not forgetting anything. You're thinking your prayer is 2 rakats. I'm a traveler, I'm praying 2 rakats, I've given my salam. So your salam was completely to finish the prayer. It wasn't out of forgetfulness of where you are in the prayer. It was a conscious decision. And therefore, all of these are conscious decisions. The same rule applies to all of them. And therefore, they all nullify the prayer. If you were to give salam at the head of on 2 rakats, in a 3 or 4 rakat prayer, obviously. Because in a 2 rakat prayer, if you give salam at the end, it's fine. You just, whether you forgot or thought otherwise, it's valid because it was 2 rakats. You may have made a consciously incorrect decision by thinking it's this, but it's actually practically the right prayer. So if you're thinking you're a traveler and in Fajr and I'm praying 2 rakats Fajr, that's correct actually, right? So God didn't make a mistake on the 2 rakat prayer. So this rule applies to 3 or 4 rakats prayer. If you think it's 2 and you should be praying 3 or 4, and you give salam at the end of 2, then it breaks your prayer. If you forget in a 4 rakat prayer and you give salam after 1 rakat or 2 rakats or 3 rakats, you can carry on and go back, as long as you haven't walked away from the prayer, as long as you haven't thought you've done the prayer and then realize afterwards. You realize straight away at that point, oh, wait a minute, I've made salam too early, let me carry on. Yes, so forgetfulness doesn't take away the opportunity to carry on the prayer. And consciously thinking you're praying 2 rakats when you should be praying 4, and then giving salam at the end of 2 rakats will break the prayer. And that's the ruling, right? So is that clear, Hassan, that one?
Yeah, in that case, forgetfulness, you just stand up after the second rakat, you realize it's Maghrib or Isha, it's 3 or 4 rakats.
Yeah.
You just Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah. Would you at the end of that namaz then do the sajda of forgetfulness?
Yes, you would. Yeah, exactly. So at the end of that prayer, you would perform the sajda of sahw, the sajda of forgetfulness, because you basically delayed. So you've read extra, you've realized, and you've gone back to where you should be due to the delay. Because remember, it is a wajib we discussed to move from one part of the prayer to the next part of the prayer and not delay. And delays will cause, and it's even if it's forgetfulness, delays due to, and that's what it is. It's you forgot, sajda, prostration of forgetfulness. That's what it's for the forgetfulness. And this was just forgetfulness. It wasn't a deliberate conscious decision to perform a different prayer. It was the just the forgetfulness of where you are in the prayer, and therefore sajda to sahw is required at the end. Yes, that's correct. Yep. So next section, what doesn't break the prayer? Is there any more on that one? No, that concludes that section. So we'll move on to the next one because it's very short. The chapter on, or the section on that which does not break the prayer. Bismillah, Hassan.
What does not break the prayer? If one praying looks at something written and understands it.
Yes, we talked about this earlier today, right? So if you see something written, whether it's Quran, whether it's English, Arabic, any language, and you understand what's written, it doesn't break your prayer. Okay, straightforward. Next one.
Eating food that is caught between the teeth with minimal mouth movement and is less than the size of a chickpea.
If anything else is going on other than that, I don't know what you're doing, right? Eating your lunch, saving it inside your mouth. So if you've got a small amount of food stuck between your teeth, or sometimes you end up thinking, oh, what's that little thing at the back of my mouth? I feel something, and you end up swallowing it. In the prayer, even is small, is minimal, and that doesn't break the prayer. As long as you didn't, start moving your finger in your mouth and trying to get all this food out, and you're not praying then, right? You're messing about with your mouth and you're trying to sort your, you're flossing or something. I don't know, not that flossing, right? The teeth one, right? That breaks your prayer, right? So both types of flossing break your prayer, to be honest. So yeah, you can't do that. But if it happened to just be a tiny amount, small amount, chickpea, we've talked about chickpea sizes, normal kind of chickpea size, then if it's something less than that and it was in your mouth and it's got swallowed, not something from outside, so you can't say, oh, something there, I'll just throw it in my mouth, it's less than a chickpea. I can eat less than a chickpea. You can't eat anything in prayer. Eating anything outside, we talked about that before. We said, the section of what breaks the prayer, we said anything you take from outside of the mouth that's swallowed, even if it's small, will break the prayer. Now we're on the section that doesn't break the prayer. Anything inside the mouth that's small and is swallowed will not break the prayer, right? And that's why it says that there. Okay, next one.
If a person walks on the area where one makes prostration, it does not ruin the prayer, even though one who crosses has committed a sin.
Yeah, so this is a common one as well. People think that when you pass, and we talked about this when we talked about the sutra, or I think we did, yeah, but nevertheless, we'll repeat it. Or maybe the sutra is coming after, I can't recall. But nevertheless, if somebody passes in front of you whilst you're praying, whether it's at home, whether it's in the masjid, whether it's in the open, that doesn't break the prayer of the person praying, okay? It's a common misconception amongst certain people that if somebody walks in front of you, it breaks your prayer. It does not break your prayer. It does make the person sinful who's walked in front of you without a valid reason, of course, without a necessity. And that shouldn't be done, yes. It's a bad thing. And the Prophet did command and guide us to take a barrier, a sutra, and put something in front of us, like a chair, like a stick, like anything that you can erect in front of you, even your bag or something, right? To show people you're praying, and then they can go around that. That's what should be done. But if there's nothing in front of you and somebody passes by, they're sinful if they're not taken care and done it deliberately, or not taken the due care and attention they should have. If there's a necessity and they need to get past, and you're causing a problem where you've prayed, and you're the one that's really in the wrong there. So they won't be sinful because you just made everything difficult for them, and they need to get to XYZ. You can't stop life for your prayer. Why are you praying in the middle of a road, basically, right? You won't blame yourself if you did that. We're talking about normal setting at home. You're in the corner even, and somebody decides to go, in front of you. In that situation, it doesn't break your prayer. That's what it says. But the person is sinful. There's many hadith that if you knew the sin or the gravity of passing in front of somebody, you'd wait 40 years. You wouldn't cross a person. There's so many hadith about walking in front of a person and how bad it is, and it's really bad. There's many hadith that indicate towards that, hence why it is considered bad, and rightfully so in Islam, and that's what it says there. And the person passing in front is sinful, but it doesn't break the prayer though. That's the ruling we need to remember for everyone here, please. And please do share this with us, because I think it's a common one that people don't know, and they think it is the case. And there's no difference of opinion on this. It doesn't break the prayer, okay? But in Hanafi madhab, in the other schools of thought, in fiqh, passing in front of somebody does not break the prayer. Even though it's bad, it does not break the prayer. It doesn't make the prayer invalid or cancel it out and you got to start again or anything like that, right? Is that understood, Hassan?
Yeah, no, that's quite common. We've always been told that somebody walks past you, your namaz is broken.
Yeah, that's right. Unfortunately, we are told that, and it's common kind of spread as though it is the ruling. It's not the case. Passing in front of somebody doesn't break their prayer. It does make you sinful if there was no genuine excuse. And the last one, I'll summarize. I won't make Hassan read it. I don't think he wants to read it either. Is that if you're praying and you've divorced your wife and you happen to see her private areas in prayer, it doesn't break your prayer, but she returns to being your wife because you divorce. She's in the waiting period, right? There's two types of divorce: revocable and irrevocable. If a man has divorced his wife revocably, which means you can take her back, if you see her aura in any way, shape, and form, really, although it mentions a specific part here, but it can be in any way or in a lustful way. Even if that's in prayer, what will happen is it won't break your prayer, right? But it will mean she returns to being your wife because she was in the waiting period of an irrevocable divorce, as detailed there, right? I'm not going to literally read that myself either, but it's just a ruling of nikah and talaq, to be honest. So talaq has occurred, and then she returns to being the full wife, and the waiting period is terminated, and she remains the wife of the husband. If that happens in prayer, and it doesn't break his prayer all during that time as well. Wow, right? Amazing masail, but it's just ruling that needs to be known, I suppose, for those in that situation. I don't think anybody will be, but again, it's one of those things. And it's a funny way to finish our class, but I think we'll finish it there as well. Unless, Hassan, you've got any questions?
No, that's fine. Jazakallah, Shaykh. I think we've gone through quite a lot today.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Thank you very much to everyone for joining us. Thank you for following, and please do share the video and take benefit. Barakallahu feekum, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.